welcome back.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Welcome back to the Chatterbox once again, man, where we have the most influential interviews on every Monday and Tuesday night, with a star-studded episode tonight with none other than Mr. Joe Jennings Jr., film director, film producer, and he gives those a chance who never thought they can be on camera. And so it's a pleasure to have him on, the podcast tonight. And so, Mr. Jennings, go ahead, and tell people about who you are so you can make the proper introduction, to the audience.
Okay. Yeah. So, my name is Joe Jennings Jr. I am a filmmaker from Atlanta, Georgia. We've made three short films, and they've been selected by over 70 festivals worldwide. We've won over 20 awards for our work. And we started in California, and then we came back to Atlanta, where I'm originally from, and started making films. And we've been having some success. So that's kind of where we are. We're just kind of in the middle of getting our feet off the ground and making some treadway, hopefully, to make bigger and better projects, features and commercials, that type of thing. So.
Okay, great. And so, shout out to your publicist, Miss Benson, man. She be working,
Yeah.
man. I can tell
Yeah.
she be working, bro. She be working, man.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
she be working. She be working with her. And I definitely appreciate the connection with her, man. And cause she definitely go hard for her clients. So
Yeah.
I definitely appreciate that connection. So, tell us about you growing up in Atlanta. So, what was that like for you?
Growing up in Atlanta, so it was just kind of like, back in my, when I was younger, it was before, it was the Atlanta that everybody knows. It wasn't like glamorous. We didn't have the Olympics yet. We didn't have like the music. We weren't the music town yet. We didn't have all the film studios. It was basically like a town where people came and partied and left. And so, just kind of growing up was kind of, it was normal. It wasn't like, oh, I'm from Atlanta, that kind of thing. It was just kind of like, whatever. And, when I became a teenager, it was kind of like, people started coming here from other places, calling us Bamas and stuff like that. They used to call people from the South Bamas, like people that from up north and,
Right.
other places. And, it was like, we just kind of like those guys. We just country. Everybody, picked on the country people, made fun of us, that kind of thing. And then all of a sudden, like Outkast, who I'm representing tonight on my shirt, they kind of made it cool to be from Atlanta. And, things started happening here and people started coming and, they started looking into our culture, and then our culture became like, worldwide. And next thing you know, everybody wanted to be from Atlanta. So it was kind of like, my younger years growing up, it was, we weren't the cool kids. And then, when I got, in high school and the older, we were the cool kids. So, but, it's the city's transformed so much, over the past 20 years. I lived in California for 9 of them. And then when I moved back in 2014. So it was like almost unrecognizable. So it's a city that's always changing, when people talk about the old Atlanta, they could be talking about 5 years ago or 10 or 20. So it just depends on what era you want to address.
Well, me, myself, I know about the new Atlanta and the old Atlanta. So
Yeah.
back in 94 and 95 and 96 and 97,
Yeah.
I would come to Atlanta and enjoy the Freaknik,
Yeah. Yeah.
and, I tell cats now, you guys don't know nothing about the real Freaknik, because the real Freaknik was in ATL. You know what I
Right.
mean? For
Yeah.
sure. So, but before Outkast, man, I was in that club scene. And so, whether it was partying, whether helping one of my homeboys do some club promotions, but y'all had a fella by the name of DJ Cash. And
Okay.
he had a song called Death Rock. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And it was a party song that all the DJs nationwide played. And
Okay.
so, and then later, that's when, you know, Outcast,
Yeah.
came
Yeah.
out, when Andre was rocking the Kango, Big Boy had the
Yeah.
headband on, and
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
they, they just the hottest duo ever in hip hop culture, man. Just
Yeah.
the hottest duo ever, man. Like, I tell people, when you think of Andre, you need to think of Jupiter or Mars, because he's definitely from another planet.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you can put him up against anybody, and they have to go
Yeah.
first. I heard
Yeah.
Eminem say that I did a couple tracks with Andre. He's like, but I kind of wanted to go first, but no, he said, man, you go last. He said, but if I'm behind a three stacks verse, he said, man, it was really just crazy. So when you hear Eminem say that, it's crazy, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man.
But
So
okay, I'm sorry, go ahead.
go ahead. You good?
Oh no, I was just gonna say, I didn't want to omit, like, all the other artists from Atlanta that came before Outkast, like Kilo and
Hmm.
like the Edward J's and the Raheem the Dreams, the Big Oomps, like, they were staples in Atlanta too, but I think Outkast kind of took it, globally, first nationally, then globally.
Right,
So
right, right.
yeah,
I think that those guys had the Atlanta sound, but Outkast had a more of a solidified sound that
yeah,
really grabbed the masses and reeled them in.
yeah.
Yeah, so that's what's up, man. So tell me about your artistry form as you went to high school. So was you an artist? Was you a poet? Or was you just a writer? Or how was that for you when you entered high school?
So like high school, I wasn't an artist. I was more of I was writing short stories and stuff like that, but I didn't think of it as like something I was going to do, in the future, or a career or a trade or whatnot. It was just more like, when I was bored, I would, write stories and stuff like that, or come up with ideas, storylines, stuff like that. I just never took it that serious, but I kind of knew I had a gift. And like one of my teachers actually read something I wrote and was like, "Yo, this is really good. You should pursue it." But as a kid, I was, you're not focused. You kind of focused on being, a kid. So I didn't really take it that seriously until I got older. But high school, I was a normal kid. Uh, we just kind of did what everybody else did. I wasn't really focused, to be honest. Uh, but I every now and then I would, jot something down or write a story here, write a story there, just to kind of entertain myself, or keep something going. But that didn't really come until later, until I got to college. Then that's when
Mm,
I kind of started, taking it seriously. And I was actually looking to be a author. I was going to write books. Um, so that was kind of my focus. And then I started getting into screenwriting, and then I
okay.
never looked back after that.
Okay. So tell me about your college years.
Yeah, so I attended Morehouse College. I got there in '97, and pretty much just kind of, when I got there, I was trying to figure it out. Like I said, I was still debating on if that was going to be something I wanted to pursue. And I was kind of there just trying to figure out where I was going with it. And then eventually one day I said, you know what, I'm going to major in English. I'm going to take some classes at CAU and see what happens. And that's kind of what I did. uh, I did work on my craft a lot while I was there. you know uh, aside from all, doing normal college stuff, partying, hanging out, that kind of stuff, like my junior and senior year, I really took it serious. And then I was, studying for GRE, trying to go to, film school, because I thought that's what it took. So my whole senior year was dedicated towards going to film school, even though I knew it was only going to, only 10% of the applicants got, accepted or whatever. I think it's even less than that. But that was kind of what I was trying to do. I was trying to get out to either California or New York or whoever would have me.
Hmm.
So that was kind of what I was doing back then. And I started taking a little more serious, but I didn't know how good I was. So I didn't really share it with my friends or whatever. Nobody was trying to read stuff I was writing back then, but I was just kind of working on my craft, just honing my craft as much as I could.
Okay. Okay. So upon you studying at Morehouse, and with you having some, you know, highly intellectual college professors and highly intellectual peers.
Yeah.
When you would show them some of your writings and whatnot, what was the reaction that you got?
So my Morehouse, the classes I took at Morehouse were basically English courses. My extracurriculum screenwriting course was actually at CAU. So I would take electives at CAU, and that's kind of where I learned how to write screenplays. And we learned about filmmaking and images of African American in the media and stuff like that. But even back then, it was like, it was a little more competitive then because you actually had people who were there for that as well. So, people would just be like, oh, it's okay, it's cool, So that was still kind of like uh, the vibe there. And then like I said, I was just constantly working on it. But I think by that time I was already determined I was going to go, either I was going to move to LA on my own or I was going to film school. So it really didn't matter what people were saying. I was kind of already locked in.
Okay, so upon you being cool and upon you, so did you make that transition to LA after school, or
Yeah,
how did it work for you?
yeah. So after I graduated, I kind of worked in corporate America for a little while here in Atlanta, and it just got to the point where I was like, it's now or never. And I had a friend out there. She was staying out there doing like nursing, traveling nursing or whatever. And she was in LA. And I just kind of I felt like that was the perfect time. So I jumped on it. I took a one-way flight. And I never came back. Well, I didn't come back for a long time, but that was my leap. And that happened in '05. So I took that leap, and once I got there, everything fell into place, and that was the beginning of my journey.
Okay, cool. So let's talk about those experiences in LA, man. Like when you first got there, and as you knew that you had this gift, that you had to get out to the max. So
Yeah.
how did LA help you transition to open up to the world a little bit more?
So when I got there, I actually landed a job in the mailroom at CBS, Television City, and I learned. I mean, just being around certain people, learning certain things. I kind of picked that up. I was in the mailroom, and I was around a lot of highly influential people. And then once I left there, I became a production assistant, freelance on different TV shows and stuff. And basically, that's like going to film school for free, because you can go to any department and say, hey, what are you doing? How do you do this? And they'll show you. And you're getting paid to learn because you're at work. So, I did that for like 6 years. And so I learned a lot from everybody. Every show I ever worked on, I just kind of watched people, observe. I learned what, things were called, what they were used for, how long to use them for, what it cost. And, it got to the point that when we made my production partner, his name is Freelon. When we made our first film together, we kind of had people from shows that we worked with to come help us. And they brought not only their experience, but their equipment. So we kind of knew what to do based off of what we were learning on set.
Mm-hmm.
And that was tremendous help, So that's kind of how we got started, like, learn how to make films. Our first film was a feature, and it was a learning experience. It wasn't the greatest film, but it was a learning experience that we just kind of took to make the films that we're making now.
Okay, so that first film, give us a synopsis on what it was about, and how did you do your casting call,
Mhm.
and how did you come up with the direction of the film?
Okay, so actually the film is called Trap, and it was based on, it was like three stories mixed into one. And how that came about, we were in a writers group. There was myself, my writing partner Sean, and another person. We were all in a writers group. So every week we would write things and meet and talk about them and give notes. So she had a story, a short story, or a short script, and Sean and I took characters from that script and we created their own story. So kind of like a spinoff. And then we put all three of those stories together and made a feature film. So It was basically like one incident. It was a murder. It was centered around a murder, and you had three different points of views about revolving around that murder.
Okay. Okay. So,
Yeah.
um, how big was the casting call when you first, came up with the idea that you was gonna do the film, and once you know you was locked and loaded, that this is what you guys were gonna do.
Yeah.
So, how did you orchestrate that casting call?
So basically, so the other person the other writer who was in with us, she basically, we held like a audition at her apartment building. You know, like apartment buildings have like the multi-purpose rooms or whatever.
Right.
So we kind of, put it out online that we were holding an audition for an independent film. And, people like showed up because, in LA, everybody's trying to work. Everybody's trying to get, into a project. So we actually had a huge turnout, like an all day thing. A lot of times, when you're doing indie casting calls, a lot of people don't show up. You may have a few, but for that particular film, we had a lot of, people show up. So that was that was tough. It was a good problem and a bad problem. You know what I'm saying? But mostly a good problem to have. But
Mm.
but it's LA, so you're gonna have that.
Right. 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 So, for now, I see, a lot of, film directors. They want the resume, they want headshots, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, me myself, man, I'm kind of old school, so I can remember when it was like you was doing in LA, like
Hmm.
you auditioned. I mean, they
Yeah.
wasn't too much worried about the headshots and whatnot. They wanted to see what your character, your style, your showmanship, all
Right.
that looked like. So, how do how does a film director like yourself mix the analog in with the digital to give it some balance?
So you mean like as far as like an audition, right? Like,
Right, 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 right. So,
yeah.
so like, okay, so we're gonna take the music business, right? The music business was, because I've been in the music business for years. So doing the analog, they had, they had a lot of different, you know, open mics, but a lot of people still sold their CDs out the trunk.
Yeah.
They still, went to club owners. They still went to barbershops and they went to hardware stores to get donations for their project and whatnot. And so when I say the analog, I believe in the handshake, but I also believe in the digital era because that's what we're in. So
Right.
with the film, do you still have the old school method that you mix with the new digital age?
Yeah. Yeah. I actually prefer in person like auditions because I want to see the energy. I kind of want to feel that energy and see it. You know what I'm saying? Like on tape auditions are cool too, but it's just, I mean, for me, auditioning is like the best part of making the film for me because you're actually, as a writer, you're watching these people bring your words to life. So to see that is just very exciting. And then when somebody comes in, they're really, really good. It's just that feeling like, oh my God, we got the person we're looking for. We got the person that's going to carry this project. So for me, it is the analog, but at the same time, we've done, digital auditions as well. And even though it doesn't have the same effect, it does kind of demonstrate that this person can act. So that's kind of what the whole point is, right? So
Right,
we've done that as well. But like for me, I like the in-person audition. I'm old school too, so I
right,
would prefer that. Yeah.
right. So let's talk about the different positions in the film business. You have your film director, your film producer, you have your casting director, you
Right.
have your wardrobe stylist, you have your music supervisor that really do the scores with the music, and
Right.
and you also have your screenwriter, your playwright. So, what would you say for you and for some people that you work with? What would you say is the most challenging position you know, as far as being in the film industry that you had to go through, but you still was able to overcome it?
I'm gonna say, I mean, the word that's blinking in my head right now is director. Only because I'm a writer at heart. I'm a screenwriter. But I directed my projects because I kind of had to. It was kind of like from the ground up. It was something that I didn't have money to hire a director. I didn't know who I could go and get to direct my project. So at first I was a little timid talking to like directing actors or whatever.
Yeah.
But eventually you kind of get used to it.
Right.
But like my last film, we had an ensemble cast. I had like 7 actors, so that was different from directing 2. So that was a different challenge for myself. But once you get into it, you kind of get used to it. But it's just that feeling. You have to make sure everything sticks together. You have to make sure that everybody's doing what they need to be doing, that makeup and hair is not taking too long, that the sound is going to come out right, and they're not picking up airplanes, and you just kind of have to make sure everything is in place. And it's, when you think about it, it's a very like daunting task, because you're controlling 8 or 9 people that are essential for making this project happen. You got to make sure they're all doing what they're supposed to be doing, and then you got to make sure you're getting the shot that you want, or you're getting the performance that you want. So it's, when you think about it, it's very tough. Luckily for myself though, the talent I've worked with, they're very professional. They kind of make, and when that happens and they're engaged in the project, they make it easier for you. So you don't have to do it so much, quote unquote directing. You're just kind of making sure everything is intact and everybody has what they need to be successful.
Okay. So as far as um your very first film, we're gonna go back to that.
Okay.
After you seen the film, and you looked at what you guys had created,
Yeah,
were you amazed at all? Were you really impressed?
I was. I was very impressed. I was impressed because that was my first film, and the fact that we actually finished it, that was what was impressive. And I actually thought the story was actually an excellent story. Uh, However, once we kind of got further on and we learned, we kind of made better quality films, because that was the issue, the quality. So once we did that, we kind of went back and saw it and kind of saw the things that we did wrong, yeah.
Okay. Cool. So now you say you like live auditions, right?
Yeah.
So I do too. But live audition versus table readings. And a lot of people, cause I had a lot, I got a lot of friends as actors and actors, and they was like, well, I gotta do this table reading just to wish me luck. I'd be like, well, oh, you gonna knock it out. But then they say to me, man, I wish this was a live audition, because I don't think that I can give myself fully in just a table reading. So what do you think? What do you think about that right there? When somebody say that the live audition gives, the director or the film producer to get a better me versus the table reading.
Well, the table read is actually when the cast is selected, and then we all get together and we read the script together for the first time. And we're not really acting it out. We're just kind of reading it together, kind of like a soft rehearsal.
Right.
So that's kind of different. But
Well, I
normally,
think that she was telling me this when it was a pandemic and you really couldn't go nowhere, and they was doing
yeah.
the auditions through Zoom and stuff like that,
Oh,
and
okay.
and everybody was on the Zoom and stuff like that, and so she
Yeah.
said it kind of had reminded her of a table reading,
Yeah.
and so And so she was
Yeah,
just trying to balance out how it worked, you know what I mean, during the
yeah.
pandemic. Because
I think
it was crazy during the pandemic.
yeah, it was. And luckily, like we were working on editing my film during the pandemic. We'd already shot it, luckily. But like I said before, it's kind of like on screen, like with Zoom or whatever. Like you can still kind of, it's not the same as in person, but you can also get, you can catch it. You can see if a person can act, on camera. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like a performance is a performance. Like granted, you won't have that energy in the room with you, but you can still see if they're right for the role. If they can
Right.
actually carry this role. So like in instances like the pandemic or whatever, that's kind of something we had to do. Or if you're trying to get somebody who's not in the same state as you, which we've had, that's kind of something you have to learn to live with. Like it's the times.
Right. So how do you select a great music supervisor as far as to work with you on film?
That's a good question. So for all the films that I've done thus far, we've done them ourselves. For our I've actually done the music supervising for those films, and the first film we did back in California, we actually hired a composer, and he was like a young guy, but he knew all genres of film, and he just wanted to do it. And he watched the film and composed the music, from beginning to end. So our first film has its own, like literally its own soundtrack. As far as my other films, my shorts, we just kind of, I kind of, well, me and a couple of other producers just kind of, got together. We used music from, people we know that's really good. And then, my last film, I actually used, some popular music. So it was just basically, I just kind of selected it myself based on what the topic of the film was and if it fit, and, the vibe that, we were trying to give off.
Okay. So we're gonna get into the business part of it.
Okay.
In the contractual agreement for everybody that you have on your set,
Hmm.
from a casting director to a wardrobe stylist, to a makeup artist, to the actors and the actresses, to the music composer, production assistant, so on and so forth. So how are those contracts solidified? And with having those contracts, is it two separate contracts? Is it a contract for the work or a contract for the role? And how are those mutual engagements formulated when it comes to the film industry?
So in reference to our first film, which was a feature, we did do a contract with the actors. I don't remember. That was like 2009, 2010. I
Hmm.
don't remember the stipulations, but I think it was more along the lines of, uh, you know, these people will receive a percentage if the film was sold, or and that this is before, like, all the streaming services were around. But like if the film were sold, then certain people will be allowed certain percentages and that kind of thing. As far as the shorts, um, it's mostly work for hire stuff. So, you know, uh, the crew, they kind of get their rate. The guy who designed my poster, it's a work for hire versus, and then, the makeup person is work for hire. It's like, you're just kind of paying them for that task. As far as the actors, they weren't, I don't think, maybe they was all SAG, but I paid them the minimum, and they were willing to do it for free. But this particular film, this is my latest film, ISFJ. I wanted to kind of pay them something for because it was a
Hmm.
2-day shoot, and
Right.
people come from out of town, that kind of thing. They were just showing like a lot of enthusiasm and loyalty to the project. So I kind of wanted to do my part, but it was mostly like just kind of a standard contract, basically
Okay.
saying, I'm paying you for your services, this, that, and the other. Because the thing about shorts is, I mean, there's like there's Amazon that they do have a market for shorts where they, you know, they put them on a platform and you get paid for them, and there's other platforms as well. But it's not like it's not like for a feature, you know what I'm saying? So the shorts are basically done for, like, you know, proof of concept.
That makes sense. So with that being said, I do want to ask you this, and I'm gonna say shout out to all my college students that's getting out for the summer and looking for those internships. So I do want to ask you, since you're a great film director, and since
Thank
you know
you.
the film business in and out, would you be looking for interns this summer?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I would. We are like gearing up to do a feature. I mean, we don't have the money just yet, but that's kind of the next move. So when that happens, I'm gonna need a lot of hands on deck.
Okay.
So
So when you come and speak of the money, so I hear a lot of my friends in the film business like, man, it's kind of tough to get money for a film. I
yeah,
said, so I mean, you know, because I'm a businessman, so I was like, so what are you doing to go about getting the money? I was like, well, you know, just trying to find some sponsors, and I said, well, have you contacted any private investors, any angel investors, any hedge fund groups? I was like, well, no, nobody ever really said anything about that. I said, well, you know, you have a lot of people that's willing to invest money, but you just got to really kind of like really find those people. You got to like research a little bit, talk to a few people, and a lot of times, man, if you have a company and you've been in that business for 6 months to a year,
right,
or you can show how the well the business is doing, then you can get that business credit started where that first line of credit may be 30 grand. You know what I
right.
mean? And so that kind of works out for a lot of people once they start building that business credit as well, man.
Yeah,
So it's definitely resources out there, for anybody that want to do anything, man. So
yeah.
I've been talking to a few college students. I got one in particular from Fort Valley State, down in Fort Valley, Georgia, and he is a filmmaker, and he made his first film in college, and
Okay.
so I'll definitely let him know that I definitely got somebody high end on the film side that that definitely may be looking for, you know, someone to help him out during the summer and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, and
Okay.
and it'll be good for him, it give him some hands-on experience on the set with somebody that's been all over. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, so that's good that you'll be willing to work with the youth. I can
Yeah,
respect
man.
that.
I'm big on mentoring. I didn't have a mentor. I kind of figured out a lot of stuff myself. Kind of bouncing around and just taking those chances, moving to California, that kind of stuff. That was it's rewarding, but at the same time, it's like there are a lot of people who can't do that for different reasons. I'm big on mentorship. You know what I'm saying? So I talk to a lot of people who want to get in this business. Whatever they want to know, I kind of offer that to them. Whether you're an actor, director, writer, whatever. Any piece of advice I could give anybody, I'll do it.
Right. Okay. So let's talk about as you went on to start, creating the shorts and stuff like that. So your very first awards at a film festival. Explain to us the feeling and how it went for you.
So we were at a festival in Biloxi, Mississippi. It's called the Southern States Indie Film Fan Fest, and Indie Fan Film Fest. I'm sorry. And we were nominated for 4 awards for my film A Leg Up, and out of those 4, we won 2 of them, and I was like blown away. Like, and it was actually one of the awards was Best Actor for Phoenix Washington, who's the star, the had the starring role in the film. And the second award was for the cinematographer, Derek Bauer. So just the fact that they won for this project was like through the roof. Like, I mean, I was very excited. There's no feeling like that, because to be selected by a film festival is a big deal. To win an award at a film festival is a huge deal. So it just validated me as a filmmaker, because during those times when you put a film out, you kind of don't know how good it is until somebody, you have to get validated, more or less. And with friends or family, you don't know if they telling the truth, right? They just like, yay, that's cool. But someone who depends on great films to make money to carry a festival, when they vouch for you, that's huge.
That's a big deal. Of course, that's a big deal.
Yeah. So yeah, like I mean, we were deeply honored, and that's something I don't forget. I don't forget any type of recognition that I've ever received. It's because you could just relive that moment, So
Right,
very,
right.
very,
So
very humbling. Yeah.
right. So speaking of family and friends, right? I know you told them, by the way, I'm doing this, I got this right here going on. They were like, yeah, that's cool, man. Congratulations. But when they see it in their face firsthand, what was the reaction? First and foremost, your immediate family, you know, uh, like, they were like, oh yeah, that's my first cousin, or that's my son, or that's my brother. Like, so what was, cause once your sibling or your son or your first cousin, you grow with like a brother or a sister or something like that, people then feel like they have exclusive bragging rights.
Something like that, but not quite. Like, I mean, I know with my mother, she's 85, so she's like, she doesn't understand why it's a big deal to me, these awards and stuff. She's kind of like, okay, so are you Tyler Perry? That's kind of her thing. It's like, well, are you going to be on TV? You know what I'm saying? So that's
Right.
kind of, it's like extremes for some people, but I do have other family members who are very supportive. I actually have a nephew who I've actually casted one of my nephews, and another one of my nephews is a producer on two of my films. So they get it, like the younger people get it. The older people, not so much.
Right. Okay. So, what about old college friends, old high school friends?
Oh yeah.
What are those conversations like?
Yeah. So, well, mostly through social media. Like I see a lot of those responses. People, so proud of you. Keep up the good work. Yada yada yada. A lot of love on Instagram and Facebook. There is a lot of pride there, because people know how long I've been trying to do this, or I've been doing it. So they, see it kind of paying off, and they're genuinely happy for me. So that's
Right.
cool. Yeah.
Okay. So, what is there any plans in the future for you to start, a film school?
Not a film school, but I am looking maybe to start a film festival. I think a film festival would be more practical for me, because I've been to so many. I feel like I could, run one, and kind of bring one to, another one to Atlanta. Atlanta doesn't have a whole lot. Georgia has a lot of film festivals, but Atlanta doesn't have that. We have big ones. We have Bronze Lens. We have Atlanta Film Festival. But I think that, maybe like Southwest Atlanta Film Festival or something like that,
Or Joe, what about the Atlanta Youth Film Festival?
Atlanta Youth Film Festival. Yeah. Maybe you could do both.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, that's great, man. So, because with that being said, man, I be on YouTube just looking at some of these kids, man. I
Yeah.
just be blown away.
Yeah.
I'm talking about. I was looking at one kid. It was three of them. They all friends.
Mm-hmm.
how you have an iPhone working at that type of angle to make a film look that good, I don't know, man.
Practice. Practice, man.
Man,
Yeah. So I mean, there are all kind of possibilities out there. It's just a matter of getting with the right people and getting financing and just kind of making it happen. So that would be more my lane than a film school.
okay, okay. So as far as the music that you have on your films, man, what type of music do you actually look for?
So it kind of depends on what the topic is. Like, let's say, like my film, A Leg Up, is more hip hop themed. So, I would look for something like, with the Goody Mob vibe or something,
Mm,
street conscious. It just depends on the film. But my other film, ISFJ, is a romantic comedy. We got 80s R&B in it. We got
mm,
some 2000s neo soul. So
right.
it just depends on what the film is about and what type of
Mm.
vibe it's putting out.
Okay, okay. So as far as when you are making films and you're looking for music, do do you put it out there where artists can submit their music?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely. It doesn't. You don't have to be an established artist or whatever. I mean, if it's a great song, then I'll definitely use it. I mean, as long as it matches what the project is and what we're looking for to what we're looking to do with the film. So
okay, okay, okay. That's dope. So I'm gonna ask you, uh, since you do have a dope publicist, so how important has it been um, for you when you're campaigning, you know, um, a film that you have branding, marketing, and publicity at a higher level?
it's extremely important. Which explains why Desiree and I actually reached out to her on this project because like when you're an indie filmmaker, a lot of indie filmmakers make a film and then they'll just put it on YouTube, right? And then it'll do what it'll do. Maybe it'll get 300 views, maybe it'll get 1,000, but after that, that's it. You know what I'm saying? Then it's like, okay, now what? But as far as like with the films we've made, we've actually had the privilege to extend the life of those films for years. Like I made this film, A Leg Up, in 2017. It just got into another festival this morning. So
Wow.
that's kind of what you want to do with your work. I mean, not that long, but you want to get as much exposure out of it as you can. And that was one of the things I wanted to do with my newest project, was get it out to more people, get it to more outlets. I just didn't want it to die 3 months after we premiered it.
Right, right, right. Okay, okay,
So like Desiree's been very um, helpful and instrumental in doing that for us and getting us on platforms like yours to talk about it and to spread the word and get more exposure, which I'm eternally grateful for.
right, right. And see, I explain to people, once you have a publicist or a PR firm who is representing you, then the whole world looks at you differently.
Yeah,
You know, they look at you like you have like they say, well, if they have a PR or a PR team, then their business is in order because
yeah,
no PR is going to take on a client who don't have their business in order.
right.
Or, you know, well, let me see how I can invest because they already got a PR team. They have a publicist and their publicist's resume is crazy, crazy, crazy great. And
Yeah,
so let me see how I can invest. So, having that PR or the public relations firm, is great. You know, I can't even say enough about how your how how a person is looked at different, or how companies look at different. And so, you know, I commend you for having, you know, a publicist to definitely represent you. So that says a lot. So this feature film that you got now, I've seen the poster, you know.
Oh
So
no, that's a short. The
that's
feature's
the
not
short.
done yet. That's the
Okay,
short.
okay,
Yeah, that's
okay,
my
okay.
newest
So
short.
tell me about the short, and tell me about the people that's on the poster.
Okay, so the name of the film is called ISFJ, and it's a romantic comedy. ISFJ is in reference to one of the, I think it's 16 personality traits that exist within all of us. And
Oh, back up, back up,
it's
back up, back up,
okay,
back up,
okay,
Joe.
okay, okay,
As,
okay.
as Martin
I'm just
Lawrence used to say, "Oh boy,
all right. I'm gonna start
stop
over.
the
I'm gonna
press,
start over. So
back up, man, back up."
okay.
So say what you just said
I'm
about the
gonna start
16
over.
personality traits.
Okay, so there's a personality test that you can take online, and whatever you answer, you will fall under one of 16 different personality traits. So all those personality traits have 4 letters. So it could be ISFJ or INTJ, or it could be, there's 16 of those. Basically saying what type of person you are.
Okay.
Okay. So the film is, the reason the film is called ISFJ is because in the film, one of the characters is on a dating app. And on the dating app, well, I don't know if people still do this, but at one point, the character uses a personality trait in their dating profile. And
Uh huh.
somehow that ties into the story, into the plot. I don't want to give it away. I want you
Okay.
to see
Okay.
it first. But when you see it, you'll be like, okay, I get it now.
Okay.
But it explains a lot of things in the film, but it's a personality trait that um, one of the characters has.
Okay. Okay.
But
Okay.
it's a romantic comedy.
Yeah.
The actors on the film, there's Phoenix Washington, who's also in my first short, A Leg Up. He returned for this project. There's Fred Thornton, who I worked with before. Todd Daniel, who I also worked with before on another film. Jocelyn Wingard, who I worked with for the first time on this film, and Natasha Mayette. She was also another first time collaborator. So those are the 5 on the, I think it's 5. But there's also another actor. His name is Luco Pierre. He's in the film as well. He's actually really good actor. So
Mm.
very talented group. They've already won 2 awards for best ensemble cast and been nominated for a third. So
Mm.
I think you'll
Wow.
like it.
Okay. Dope. 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 Okay. So with you being who you are, and we just want to know, man. We just want all the hot. You know, we just want to continue. So, how hard is it for someone to work with you?
Oh
Is it
wow.
is it is it is it is it are you approachable when you're out and about, or you know, are you the type of person, a person who's like, man, I've been trying to get in contact with Mr. Jennings and I just can't get him, man. Like, I wish I could work with Mr. Jennings. I feel like I can learn so much under him. And so, how hard would it be for a person to really, you know, get with you, or you know, for a person to even just reach you, you know?
I mean, I don't think I'm hard to reach. I just I know I've had people, pitch a lot of things, um, but it's kind of like, I'll give you an example. I had a friend, a coworker, he called me out of the blue like 3 days ago, and he pitched an idea to me, and he actually wanted me to sign a confidentiality agreement, and I was just like, bro, it's an idea. You can't copyright an idea. It's just, it's not, there's no literature or anything. It's just an idea. But I mean, I get that a lot, and I do entertain that. I do tell, talk to people who, have an idea they want to shoot this, that, and the other. I just kind of, and I'm just kind of honest about it. But yeah, I'm extremely accessible.
So,
Like,
so I have an idea why we own this. Desiree, I hope you're listening. I hope you listen, Desiree. I have an idea. I think that you should make a film,
okay,
and this is how you're going to get about 50 million women to watch.
okay,
You should make a film, and the film should be entitled "Why Black Men Do What They Do."
oh, that's controversial there.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, we're gonna need a lot of security for that one.
Yeah. But just to really put something out like that in the atmosphere and be like, I know Joe Jennings ain't making no film called "Why Black Men Do What They Do." Like, is he giving the tea away to the females, or is he trying to, make brothers like I'm one of them brothers that's in the 10% category of good men, and I see you, and you're making it bad for me.
Right.
So I'm gonna drop some of this hot tea, and I'm gonna see what the masses think.
You know what? I'm gonna write that down, bro, because I think we're going somewhere with that, bro. I'm gonna write that one down.
Listen, man. This is gonna be on some Oprah and Gayle King interview together.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
I already know.
yeah, so,
I already know where it's going. It's gonna be a little.
And so I definitely want to cast for that, because that'll be epic, because it's never been done before. It's never been done before.
I'm no stranger to, tackling, issues with dating and society, that kind of thing. I mean, even my new film, we talk a little bit about that. So that's not far-fetched for me. I'm not afraid to, address those type of things. It's just, a lot of politics involved,
Yeah. Of course. But not only would it be great, but the soundtrack would be. Hey, listen, man. That would be probably the best soundtrack since Jason Lyrics.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
you're right.
Man. That
We'll put it on the
soundtrack, man. Yeah, man. But yeah, man. So just give it some thought, and that most definitely, man. So, but Joe, we about out of time. So this is what I want you to do. I want you to tell people where they can find you at. Tell people for business inquiries, only business and serious business.
Yeah.
Tell them who they can contact for that, and then we're gonna be out of here.
So it's Joe Jennings Jr. one word on Instagram, LinkedIn, and what's the other one? Facebook. So it's just my name all in one word. And reach out to Desiree.
You heard it first, man. And if you don't know how to reach her, I do. And so just get it me.
I know
so
you
we'll
do.
get it done. We'll get it done. We'll definitely get it done. So I just want to thank Ms. Vincent, man, for making this connection. And Joe, it's been a pleasure. I had so much fun on this interview. You taught me a lot, man, and you're so down to earth.
Hey, man,
you know what I mean?
Pleasure's all mine. Thank you, King Jacob, for having me, man. We're very honored.
Yes, sir, man. Take care. Be blessed. And most of all, continue to put the visuals out and go ahead and make all the millions that you can.
I will, bro.
All right. Peace and blessings.
Peace.